Alright, so today's lecture we'll do nutrition. So it's gonna overview some of the stuff you may have done in Med 111. So utilizing food, intake, digestion's breaking down, absorption. So we absorb mostly everything into the blood. Where does fat get absorbed again? Lymphatic. Metabolism, that's the overall breaking down and building up process within the body. The liver is our main enzymatic center, so that changes the food, breaks it down, builds them up, and if there's any waste, our kidneys will filter it out. So what the liver does and what the kidney does together, that is going to be elimination. All right. Hello, hello. So diet, nutrition is going to affect overall health. So that's the importance of understanding nutrition, because you want to give your patients a good foundation for health. And food, nutrition is an easy way. All right, requirements. So energy. So the amount of energy minimum that you need is called your basal metabolic rate. And for most people, it's about 1,200 calories. You guys heard of a calorie? Yeah. So that's if you're sitting awake and you're just there breathing, doing nothing but thinking. I mean, you're gonna burn that much calorie in just making body heat and your physiological functions. If you then walk around, do any exercise, that's the additional calories that you need. Right? So energy, build and repair. That's mostly proteins for building and repairing. And then to make hormones or chemicals that regulate body processes. So fats and proteins build our hormones. All right, metabolism, meta. So meta is the overall. So it's two processes. It's the balance of both the anabolism, so that builds things up, and kata means down, so that breaks things down. So when you take steroids, right, there's different types of steroids. The ones that athletes abuse are the anabolic steroids. Those are the ones that helps your body build tissue, in this case muscle. If you want to lose weight, take some catabolism, things that help you release energy. So it's going to help your body break down the nutrients. The overall, of course, is your metabolism. And your body wants to balance your metabolism. Calorie. You guys know what a calorie is by definition? How much energy that is? Yeah, so you take 1 centimeter, all right, and then it's in 3 dimensions. So what do you call that? Yeah, cc, cubic centimeter, which is 1 ml. So in this case, the energy it takes to increase 1 ml of water 1 degree Celsius, right? So that's by definition. And that, of course, is at standard temperature and pressure, right? So what we count on the back of food labels are actually kilocalories. So it's actually 1,000 calories, and it should be written with a capital C. So if it's a capital C, it's 1,000 calories. If it's a lowercase c, then it's just one regular calorie. We count kilocalories. So the average human diet is how much a day? 2,000 kilocalories a day. Remember, all you need is 1,200 just to keep your body weight, right? Just the energy requirement. About 800 for energy expenditure. Anything extra gets stored as fat. Can we store protein? No. So that's why a lot of those high protein diets are popular. because you can eat all the protein you want, and your body has to get rid of it. It can't store it.
There's so much protein in the actual liver, right?
Your kidneys,
The kidney.
mostly your kidneys, because your kidneys will have to filter out everything. So it's good for short-term crash diet. If you need to get into that wedding dress, if you got a month or so, then yeah, go keto. All right, nutrients, energy, growth, repair, basic processes, definitely. So we'll talk about the different types. So proteins, what are the building blocks of proteins? Yep, amino acids. So we got about 20 of those. We'll talk about them. Carbs are made from sugar. Fibers made from sugar as well, right? But it doesn't taste sweet because we can't break it down. Right? These are all the fats. We got different types. We got the fatty acids. We got phospholipids. There's also cholesterol. So we'll differentiate the types. Vitamins, of course, come from living sources, and then minerals come from the dirt. How much water do you need a day? So they say like drink 8 glasses of water. All right. So that is 4 of those bottles right there. So if you have a 500 ml bottle, that's about 2 liters. So about 4 of those would equal the 8 ounces. Calories. Protein, do you think it's high in energy or low in energy density? You get about 4 calories per gram. Not so bad. Carbs, you get about the same on average. Not all carbs are the same. But for fats, do you think there's more per gram or less? More, less? Double? So fats are higher in density. You get about 9 calories per gram. All right, so gram for gram, fats and oils are going to pack twice as much calories. And then there's this stuff called ethanol. You guys know what that is? Ethanol? You drink it to get drunk? Does that have energy in it? A flaming mo. Yeah, there's energy in it. So alcohol gives you about 7 calories per gram. So that's why they say you get that beer belly. Because there's a lot of energy in alcohol. Almost twice as much as a carb. Proteins. So of course building, we got about 20 amino acid, 20 different building blocks. And all it is one amino acid connected to the other, connected to the next one. And then it folds up a little bit, and that's what gives it its function. Your antibodies are made from proteins. So antibodies are just markers for disease, and they're usually represented as Y shape. So one end will stick to the bacteria, and that tells your body, hey, attack this guy, because we marked it with our antibody. So that's made from proteins. Maintain body heat. How does your muscle or protein help you maintain body heat? What does it yield? Sugar plus oxygen gives you ATP energy and heat. So in our muscles, we're actually burning sugar. We're controlling the burn of the sugar to capture the energy in the bonds. And it gives off a little heat as well. So remember that 1,200 calories a day just to keep your body weight. That's where it's all going. It's just to heat you up. Requirements, 10 to 35%. So know this number. you'll get a quiz question. Protein deficiency. Of course, you're going to lose weight, muscle mass, malnourished, dry skin. So your skin is sloughing off all the time. And you can also say GI problems. There are cells in your GI tract that only live for 3 days. And now if you don't have enough protein to replace those cells, you're going to get irritation. Lower resistant infection. Why? Yeah, you don't have any antibodies. You don't have any proteins to make the markers to identify the bacteria so we can kill it. And then if you don't have enough proteins to make the hormones you need, it may disrupt regulation. Sources. So to get the complete 20 essential amino acids, you'll need it from an animal source. A lot of non-animal sources will not have the complete amino acid profile. So there are 8 essential amino acids that your body cannot make. You must get from your diet. You can get some of them from plant sources, but to get a complete set, you gotta get it from animal sources. Conditional and non-essential, so that's the other 12. Conditional is sometimes if you don't have all the proteins you need, your body can bypass it. It can go without. Carbohydrates. So protein was 4 calories per gram. Carbs, the same, about 4 calories per gram. So anything that does not get turned into energy or stays for immediate use will then get stored into fat. So quite a bit, more than half of your calorie intake should come from carbs. But there are simple carbs, fast carbs, and slow carbs. So not all carbohydrates are of the same quality. So we got simple sugars, complex carbs. They're just the single sugar units linked together. But in the case of starch, they start to branch off. So you can actually pack more sugar in a denser package. So it's just the branching that makes it different. Fiber, it's the exact same structure, but our body is not able to break it down. So that means it stays as bulk forming agent. It holds on to water to keep our stool regular. So I alluded to the 2 types of fiber, soluble and insoluble. So for insoluble fiber, it's going to stay in your GI tract. And it does 2 things. The first one is absorbs waste and toxins because it's kind of jelly-like. If you ever heated up oatmeal, right? Oatmeal's kind of slimy and gooey. So because of that, it kind of holds on to the toxins so your body doesn't absorb it. Also, because of that same jelly-like thick texture, it slows the rate of absorption of sugar. So if you want to feel full longer, then you want to eat these carbs that break down slowly. So oatmeal, if you don't have any gluten sensitivity, is good because in the morning it'll keep you full because you'll get a sugar stream throughout the morning instead of this stuff, which turns into sugar instantly. Whole wheat bread, brown bread, it'll turn into sugar faster than a candy bar. It'll spike your insulin and your blood sugar, and then you crash. So you won't even make it to lunch. Amount of fiber you need, insoluble fiber, about 14 grams per thousand. So this should be 2,000 on average, the adult. So you need 28 grams. So this is something that most Americans are not getting enough of. So that's the insoluble fiber. Soluble fiber, as the name states, is going to be absorbed into the bloodstream. So Cheerios, oatmeal, right? They have both insoluble fiber and soluble fiber. So what the soluble fiber does in your circulatory system is it picks up all of the bad fats and it takes it back to the liver for reprocessing. That way the bad fats don't have a chance to clog up your body. Fats. So more than double the energy per gram, right? Pound for pound, more than twice. Triglycerides, we mentioned, it can carry a total of 3 fatty acids, and fats need to be carried to be circulated throughout the cardiovascular system. So here they're saying about 20 to 30. You guys heard of the ketogenic diet? It's a big fad today because the results is you no longer are burning sugar in your body, you are burning fats. Okay? So your body will adjust to the type of fuel you give it. So if you eat carbs and sugar, your body has to produce enzymes that break down carbs and sugar. But if you only eat fats, and that's your main energy supply, well, your body's going to adjust. It takes the liver a week or so to get the enzymes now to break fats more efficiently. So an example where this works is, where is there no vegetation some parts of the year where people won't be eating any carbs? The North Pole, right? So the Inuit population, right? They're not eating wheat, there's no corn, there's no potatoes. All they're eating is meat and fat. So their diet is the ketogenic diet because there is no sugar. All they're eating is fats and proteins. And it works for that genetic group, right? So that's why it's big. It does work, but just be cautious. You don't want to do anything way too extreme. Fats, good fats, bad fats. Well, you've been lied to. Supposedly now, a lot of studies say that all the fats are good for you, and you should be having fats. It's just that we've used to been fed all the bad fats. Have you guys heard of the infamous trans fat? What is it? Did it change its gender or something? No? Okay. Yeah, it's just trans fat is usually for packaged foods. And the reason is you want packaged food to stay on the shelf for Twinkie life, right? So that means if there's fat in something packaged, is it going to break down on the shelf? No, right? Because we want it to store a long time because it's packaged food. So if you eat these fats into your body, what's it going to do? Is it going to break down easily? No, it's designed to have a long shelf life. So your body goes, I don't know what this is. I can't break it down. I'm just going to hold on to it. Right? So that's why trans fats were bad. Saturated versus unsaturated. So this just means all of the bonds. So if you are saturated, that means you have all your bonds and you're usually solid. So higher energy. Whereas if you are unsaturated, you're going to be a liquid form at room temperature. So you have more double bonds. You guys heard of like omega-3, 6, and 9 fatty acids?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what they're referring to, are those double bonds in the fats. So what you want is small chains of fats that are already partially broken down so your body can absorb them and use them easily. So a lot of people use medium chain triglycerides as a supplement. Don't overdo it because it's just like lubing you from the inside. But that's the whole big transition. The culprit wasn't fat all this time that was bad in her diet. It was actually sugar that was causing all of the problems. Cholesterol. Do you need cholesterol? Yeah, definitely. You need cholesterol to make vitamins and hormones. So in your skin with UV light, vitamin D will react and it'll turn into the precursor to make vitamin D in your liver. So if you don't have cholesterol, it's not going to react with sunlight. You can't make vitamin D, can't absorb calcium, no bones, can't survive. Also for hormones, all of your sex hormones are steroid hormones. So what that means is they're gonna alter or affect DNA directly. So very profound effects on the body. So if you don't have enough cholesterol, you may never even hit puberty because you can't make the sex hormones. Good fats, bad fats. Right? So a lot of us might get put on statin drugs. You guys heard of those? Like Lipitor, Zocor, Pravachol. Pravastatin, yeah, atrovastatin, all the statin drugs, right? So cholesterol, if you have high cholesterol, first thing they tell you is stop eating cholesterol, right? So if you have high cholesterol, maybe stop eating it. And then what's the next thing they do? Maybe you need to run, get some exercise. If those two things don't work and you still have high cholesterol, that's because it's what your body's making. Your liver makes cholesterol. So if your liver's making too much cholesterol, then we're going to have to block it. So that's what the statin drugs do. You already adjusted your diet, exercise, but you're still having high cholesterol. We're going to give you the drugs for it. Low density, high density. So lipo, that's the fat component. Protein, well, that's the protein component. So the amino acid. What's heavier, fat or protein? What floats at the top of your soup? The fat. Okay, good. So if I'm low density, what do I have more of? More of the fat or more of the protein?
Fat.
More of the fat, right? So if I'm high density, do I have more of the fat or more of the protein?
Protein.
More of the protein. So which one's the good one? Which one's the bad one? This one's a good one. This one is the bad one, right? So that's how you know. So when they take your cholesterol, don't just get the number, make sure you get the ratio. Because you can have an elevated overall cholesterol, but if you have a lot of good fats, then that's okay. Right? So don't be too alarmed. Did you take your vitaminogens today? Okay, so a lot of this stuff just passed right through you. Right, the best way to absorb vitamins and minerals is to take it with the whole foods because your body will absorb it better. A lot of this stuff doesn't have the cofactors, right? So those are like coenzymes. So not only do you need to take up the vitamins and minerals, but other stuff that actually helps your body to absorb it. Organic means it comes from, we make a few of them, like all your B12, that's all man-made now. Some of this stuff cannot be absorbed unless the bacteria, the healthy bacteria in your gut is present. Some of the bacteria actually helps to make these vitamins for you, like vitamin K. A lot of the E. coli in your colon will actually make, and we absorb the vitamin K. Water versus fat. Which ones are water soluble? Only two, B and C, right? So all the B vitamins, B1, B2, B3, B12, B6, B7, and their names, right? C, so just remember for vitamin C, pirates, they didn't have any fresh fruits or vegetable, so they went crazy. They got scurvy because of no vitamin C. You lose it in a week or so because you lose it through urination. Fat soluble, that's the rest of them. A, D, E, and K. Minerals, inorganic. That means they just come from the earth. Down D-I-R-T, dirt. Down in the dirt. So you don't need, some you need a lot of. So things like calcium and phosphorus, you'll need quite a bit for bone. Most other metals, you just need a trace amount. So iron for blood, you got chromium, selenium, etc. We'll go through some examples. Don't worry about the RDA, the recommended daily allowance. You're not going to need to know the amounts you need every day. So here in the intestines, salts and water are the last thing to be absorbed. All right, RDAs. Again, don't worry about the numbers. Just know calcium. You need about 1 gram of calcium a day. And in a lot of places where they don't do dairy, right? They don't have any bone problems. There's no osteoporosis, so it's not really linked to diet. Iron, 10 to 15 milligrams. Of course, iron is for red blood cells. Iodine is for your thyroid function, so metabolism. Zinc is for repair, mainly for burn victims. If you have a burn victim, to repair all the skin tissue, they'll give them high amounts of zinc. Magnesium, part of your metabolism and energy regulation system. Phosphorus mentioned for bone. Calcium and phosphorus together. Selenium. You guys heard of Selsun Blue? What's that for? So they put selenium there to maintain healthy skin, right? So that's what selenium does. Helps you maintain and repair. Copper, fluoride, of course, for teeth. But it is a little dangerous. So I think United States, one of the only countries that still fluorinates the water. Other countries have banned it, and then certain cities, they banned fluorinated water. Chromium, did you guys watch, what's that one movie? Aaron Brockovich? Did you guys watch that movie? So that was where the city was contaminated with chromium in their well water. Manganese, not to be mistaken with the magnesium. So quite a bit of them. Don't get bogged down by the numbers. Water. of course, the fluid of life. So our kidneys will filter out about 800 liters of water per day. So they're active. Most of that water is reabsorbed in the kidneys, but it'll filter that much blood. So dissolves chemicals, nutrients, and then aids in digestion with fiber. Flushes out weight, and then for regular temperature regulation, you sweat. So you have water on the outside of cells, extracellular fluid. You have water on the inside, intracellular fluid. So when you're first dehydrated, you're going to lose all of your extracellular fluid. And then if you're super dehydrated, you're going to start losing water within the cell, intracellular fluid. And that's when it becomes dangerous. So if you're just slightly dehydrated, they'll give you salt water. They'll give you NS, normal saline. But if you're really, really dehydrated, they'll give you dextrose and salt water. That way, the sugar will rehydrate the cells, and the salt will stay on the outside and rehydrate the extracellular fluid. So inadequate intake, of course, you'll have dehydration. And then for lactation, it'll be more difficult. What are electrolytes?
Like minerals and lime.
So they're going to be minerals, but they have a charge on them, right? So they'll be called ions, yeah. So if you have a plus charge or a negative charge, then you can actually create electricity in the body. So sodium, we have tons of sodium on the outside of every cell in our body. Potassium, we pump potassium in every cell of our body. Chloride, most of it's on the outside of the cell. So when they kill you with lethal injection, the last thing they give you is a high dose of potassium to disrupt this. Sodium's supposed to be on the outside, potassium on the inside, but if I want to kill you, all I gotta do is put tons of potassium on the outside, and now there's no electricity. Right? It's balanced. Electricity's not gonna go anywhere. So that last injection is potassium. Antioxidants. What's an oxidant? Yep. So oxygen is actually poison. So trees breathe in carbon dioxide and they breathe out their waste. Oxygen is a waste. Right? So for us, we're using oxygen because we're burning fuel and we need to put waste somewhere. So we're putting our waste on the oxygen and then we breathe out CO2. So it's highly reactive. Right? So for example, what happens when you put out an avocado? What color does it turn? Brown, right? Because that is reacting to the oxygen in the atmosphere. So as long as you don't cut into it, the oxygen won't start to spoil the food. So what antioxidant do you put on the avocado to prevent it from browning? So you squeeze a little, yeah, lemon on top, right? Or you keep the pits inside because citrus contains the antioxidant vitamin C. So your antioxidants are vitamin A, C, and E. What they do is they will pretty much neutralize those highly reactive oxygen radicals, and it'll prevent the avocado from turning brown, because instead of the avocado, right, the vitamins in it doing its job, right, now we have the vitamin C isolating the oxygen radicals. USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. So these are just recommendations. With your weight. So here's an example of the body mass index chart. So you just take your height, cross it with your weight, and where you fall, either you're healthy, overweight, obese, and I guess if you're in this white area, you would be considered underweight. They don't even label it. But for me, 5'8", I'm right here at the border between healthy weight and overweight. So that just gives you an idea of how outdated this scale might be. Also, if you're a super healthy bodybuilder, right, you might be my height, but you're gonna be a lot heavier because you have more muscle mass. And now they're saying, hey, this bodybuilder is obese, which is a little bit incorrect. So you got to take this chart with a grain of salt, and it was designed, of course, for that average person. Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the percent body fat methods. So I think it's 3 spots. They'll check the thickness of the fat folds, and they'll do their calculations. But the better way of determining overall percent body fat is if they put you underwater, because they'll weigh you on dry land. So what's heavier, water or fat? What floats on top of your soup? Yeah. So if you're in water, that means you should weigh lighter, right? Because all that fat would now float. So they'll make you blow all the air out that you can out of your lungs, and then they'll determine that weight difference, and that's a better way of figuring out your overall percent body fat. As we age, we have less muscle. So that means we're going to be burning less calories. So that basal metabolic rate that I quoted, 1,200 calories for the average person a day just to maintain their body weight. As you get older, you're going to need less. So you should probably get in the habit of eating less as you age. Modified diets. So depending on your goals and or disease state, you may need to modify your diet. So if you want to be thinner, that's a big one. But most of the time it's for disease recovery, right? So we'll talk about when we increase this, when we decrease that nutrients based on the patient's needs. Texture diet. There's also something called the brat diet. You guys heard of that?
Yeah.
So that's like a recovery diet if you have any intestinal issues, just to get it going again instead of overstressing it. You get, what is that, bread? Or banana, rice, applesauce, and toast. Toast or tea? Toast. I think it's toast. So it's banana, rice, applesauce. So things that doesn't irritate too much to get your intestinal system going again. Now the firmness of the food may have to do with the patient's ability to control swallowing. So if you're partially paralyzed, don't give them liquids. It'll go down the wrong tube because it's hard for them to control the back of their throat. So you're going to give them soft food or semi-puree food where it's more mushy and it doesn't flow down the wrong tube. What's that? Yeah, yeah. So you'll give them like a puree. Like applesauce should be okay. If you give them chicken noodle soup, they're gonna choke on it. Nutrition levels, so we can limit certain things: salt, fats, calories, triamine. So some people will have problem breaking down certain proteins. We'll talk about PKU, phenylketonuria. And that's a specific protein that the patient can't break down. High calories, high protein. That means most likely diabetic because there's no sugar. High carbs. This person might be emaciated. They're malnourished, so we gotta keep up their body weight. Frequency and timing. So there's a lot of fad diets. There was eat small meals. Was it 5 to 7 times a day? Right. So there's the new trend, which is intermittent fasting. Have you guys heard of that? It's 1 meal a day. All right. So there's merits to each and every single one. So here where people go and fail is when they say small meals, they mean super small meal. So a meal would be, here's a sandwich, a meal would be a quarter of it, right? Most people are eating 5 to 6 regular meals and they're wondering why it doesn't work, right? So the goal of this is to keep your metabolism up. So if you're always getting a little bit of food and your body's burning it, it's not going to want to store any food, right? So people are starting to do the intermittent fasting where they'll eat 1 meal a day and they'll go anywhere from 12 to 16 hours without eating. And that forces their body to utilize the calories that they do intake. So for some people, fasting is helping. It helps keep them in ketosis, so they're burning fat instead of sugar. Diverticulosis. So those are these outcroppings in the intestines we mentioned in the digestive chapter. So you'll need bland diets to prevent inflammation. Lactose intolerance. You lack lactase. So it's just the gene to make this enzyme no longer works or it's no longer being expressed. So you can develop a lactose intolerance. Phenylalanine. So this is a protein. So if you are phenylketonuria, suffer from PKU, your body cannot break down this protein and it builds up toxins. So ketones causes your blood to be acidic. So have you heard of ketoacidosis? So for diabetic patients, right, they can fall into ketoacidosis and their blood sugar drops, they go in a coma, and death if it's not taken care of. What is gluten? Covered it yesterday or Monday. It's protein. So it comes from wheat, barley, oats, rye. So all of the grasses. Um, Corn has something similar, but it's not exactly gluten. Corn is also a grass. So what it causes is severe inflammation of the intestines. And for many people, if they have like certain autoimmune diseases like psoriasis, if they eat a lot of breads and gluten products, then their psoriasis will actually flare up because that's inflammation. So if they cut that out, not only do they reduce inflammation in their bowels on the inside, they'll also reduce inflammation on their skin. Allergies easy enough, just eliminate it. But first they have to know if you're allergic. So how do they test? Yeah, we'll do the skin test, just like the TB screening with the purified protein derivative. They'll map out an area of your skin and they'll actually expose you. So they might prick the skin in order to expose the common allergen. If you react, congratulations, we figured out what your allergies are. If you don't react, then I guess they don't know yet. Without, so anemia is a blood condition, in this case, without blood cells. So mostly RBCs are what they're referring to, but there's different types of anemia. This is usually pernicious anemia, where it's iron absorption. Patients with cancer, mostly it's dealing with the treatment. You're going to need protein because the chemo medication destroys your body. So that extra protein will help your body recover. Definitely vitamins. Diabetes, it's the rush of sugar you want to avoid. So the glycemic index is very important for seeing how fast food turns into sugar. So things like rice, potatoes, bread, right? All those things turn into sugar very quickly. And if you're diabetic, you should avoid them. The good stuff, sweet potatoes, brown rice. So you can just make those minor adjustments. And these are way, way healthier carbs. Oatmeal. How about oatmeal cookies? No, just oatmeal. Food exchanges. So this has to do with that glycemic index. So you have food categories, and depending on your mixture of proteins and carbs, will determine if it'll spike your blood sugar or not. So that's what they mean by the food exchanges. So everything has a point system, and as long as you're within your points, it should be safe for a diabetic patient. Avoid skipping meals. So a lot of patients are on medications, either on oral meds or some type of insulin. So skipping meals will prevent their blood sugar from dropping too low. That's when you get the clammy, the shakes, the sweats, and to help them out, get that blood sugar back up, have them sip on juice like orange juice, or give them some hard candy. Also, for these patients, schedule them in the morning if they have to do any fasting for tests, because they're going to be going without food for that whole night, that whole day. Yeah, so hopefully you can make it to your appointment because your blood sugar is so low. Because anytime you do blood tests, no food for at least that midnight before or whatnot. So now you have no sugar, you can't even have a snack. Cranky. Yeah, you get hangry, super hangry. Yeah. Headaches. Once the headaches come in, that's when you know you got to take it slow. So for those patients, just schedule them as early as you can in the morning. Heart disease, of course, reduce your cholesterol. Now it's a catch-22 because the heart is such a energy consumptive muscle that most of its energy is actually fueled by fats. But if you have too much fats, then it's going to accumulate around your organs. So they want low sodium, high potassium. That way it balances the electrical charges and the contractions aren't so strong. Lactose is easy. Avoid dairy products. So in like the Asian countries, there are no dairy products, right? That cream cheese wonton, That's an American invention. Philadelphia roll. Well, that's not from Japan, right? So all those Asian countries, there's not a lot of osteoporosis because they're getting the calcium from other sources. Behavior. So we have a big issue in America, and that has to do with happiness. People aren't happy. So that could be caused by a lot of things, and one of the main outlets of not being happy is eating behavior. So we do not have a hunger issue in America, right? So if you're homeless, you're not gonna go hungry because everyone donates food 24/7. You walk down the street, somebody's gonna give you food, right? Stand on the corner, somebody's gonna give you a food. So even that problem is not, there's not a food problem. It's like a happiness problem. Children, first year. So like 3 to 6 months, they can't even digest cereals like grains. They can't even digest certain fats. So don't even feed those to babies 3 to 6 months. Their body doesn't even build those enzymes until after that. So at 9 months or so, so 6 months you can introduce cereal, like wheat, that rice cereal stuff. 9 months, then you can start introducing the proteins and fats. We kind of cause our children to become obese. We always tell little Johnny, hey, finish your food, right? Finish your plate before you go. But little children, they self-regulate by how many calories they take. So if they don't finish their food, that's their body's way of saying I have enough. And when we tell, hey, little Johnny, finish your food before you leave, we're disrupting their natural abilities to say, hey, I have enough. Pregnant patients, of course, you'll have prenatal nutrition, prenatal vitamins. Peri-enter. So if you read that word quickly, you probably thought, oh, parental nutrition. No, it's parental. So enteral means through the GI tract. So here we're not putting food in your GI tract because maybe you don't have a gut anymore. We removed your stomach, right? Or there's a blockage. So you're not going to be able to absorb any nutrients via the GI tract. So we have to feed you directly in your veins. So it's IV nutrition. We have to customize it for your needs, and it's one of the most expensive and dangerous treatments. Why is it dangerous? A lot of ingredients that can become contaminated, and now we're entering that into your body. If it's food for you, it's good enough for any bacteria or fungus out there, right? So just imagine 30 ingredients and all the chances of getting it contaminated. It's expensive because you got a doctor, you got a nutrition, a dietitian, a pharmacist, some techs all working together to make this therapy. Certain drugs interfere with absorption. So for example, antibiotics. What's a common side effect of antibiotics? That pink chalky stuff. Got a little kid on it recently. So it kills bacteria indiscriminately. So the the amoxicillin, penicillin, the pink chalky stuff. So antibiotics. So for antibiotics, they're gonna kill bacteria indiscriminately. So so they'll also kill the good bacteria in your gut, and then it'll cause diarrhea. So if you have a little kid with like an ear infection, they might give them the pink chalky stuff. Next thing you know, they're not only throwing up, now they have diarrhea as well. Other drugs will increase your appetite, while other drugs will decrease your appetite. Heroin addict, fat or skinny? There you go. All right. Well, I don't know anymore, but pot smokers, fat or skinny? Used to be fat pot smokers because it gives them the munchies, but I don't know these days. So that's the same thing. A lot of drugs can have effects. Antidepressants. Do you gain weight or lose weight? A lot of people gain weight on them. Muscle relaxants, you'll gain weight. Uh, Birth control, gain weight. Right? So, like I said, a lot of it has to do with your happiness level, these disorders. And obesity, well, people used to be shamed for smoking. You shouldn't smoke, it's so unhealthy. But we don't do any fat shaming because that's not acceptable. But if we did, people might change. Right? So a lot of it has to do with happiness. So we have anorexia. So this is not eating at all. Not so bad as long as we can give you those 1,200 calories a day just to maintain your body weight and some vitamins. And that's the main treatment when we check people in for anorexia. So it's a psychological condition. They feel or they think that they're a fat person. Bulimia. So bulimia is worse because digestion, your body is investing a lot of energy and a lot of nutrients. So it takes vitamins, minerals, and then once you get that digestion started, you just throw everything up. So this is going to lead to even faster malnutrition. What happens to the back of their teeth? Yeah, sometimes that acid will erode the back of their teeth. There's an in between. Have you guys heard of chew and spit? So, um, again, these girls have the psychological issues where they want the taste of the food and it's usually sweets, but they don't want to swallow it because they think they'll get the calories. So they'll just chew it and they'll spit it in like a big old soda cup or they'll spit it into the chip bag and stuff. So if you see like weird stuff hanging around girls' rooms, then that might be one of those disorders. Again, make them happy. Some of these issues might just then go away. It's the anxiety, how people deal with anxiety. So get help. You're not the only one with those thoughts or those issues. And then if you do relapse, it's no biggie. It's not the end of the world. Just get the help again. Nowadays, a lot more boys are having these eating disorders. Same issues as girls, that body image. Now also sports, especially with wrestling. Because wrestling, every time you fight, you gotta lose some weight. You gotta drop weight, cut weight, and then it becomes that psychological issue for them sometimes for the rest of their lives. So for patients, just reinforce, try not to teach them everything at once. And for food labels, they've been changing all the time. It used to always be per serving. So I'm going to ask you a question. One bagel, how many servings is that?
2 or 3 servings?
Two? Minimum two, right? You think it's just one, but it's sliced in half, but it's about 4 servings. So, what did they do with a lot of the food packaging? Now they're doing it per package because I'm gonna eat the whole package, right? So when you used to look at sodas, it was per serving. How much is a serving of Coke? Is it the can? Is it half the can? Right? So their serving was 8 ounces, but people don't drink 2/3 of the can. We drink the whole can. And then we came out with 16 ounces, 20 ounces, 24, 30, huge bottles. Oprah, you guys know what that is? Oprah Winfrey. So she used to be big, then she got skinny, then she got big, then she got skinny, and now she has this whole plan. She's staying skinny because for her, she got her own cook, right? If you got your own cook, there's no excuse not to be skinny. If you have all these dietitians on your side, at that point, it's just self-control. So anything can affect it. So I jokingly say, yeah, we're not happy, it's our anxiety. But a lot of it is, we're not happy, it's our anxiety. And for us, food is no longer about food, it's about convenience. Because if you're working multiple jobs, multiple income family, you got 5 minutes to pick up dinner or make dinner. Pizza is convenient, hot and fresh. McDonald's drive-through, 180 seconds from the time you place your order, time you pay and pick up your food. So our choice is not based on nutrition a lot of times, it's based on convenience. So teach them a little bit at a time, try to work on one thing. When I told a student, if you eat rice, it turns into sugar. If you eat potatoes, it turns into, if you eat pasta, it turns into, if you eat bread, it turns into, and then she looked at what she was planning, her meals she was planning for the week, and she's like, oh my God, I'm just feeding my family nothing but sugar. Most doctors get about a week of nutrition in medical school. Unless you specialize as a dietitian or a nutritionist, you're not getting more than that as just a regular general practitioner. Just about a week. One of the biggest hurdles is cultural acceptance of food. Some cultures, it's all around food. And if you throw a party and you run out of food, that's a huge embarrassment. And if you leave a party in some cultures and you don't take any food with you, yeah, that's disrespectful as well. And then in some places, if they put a whole chicken on your plate and you don't finish that, that's disrespectful. So you're gonna have to work with these culturals and kind of understand and accept their differences. All right, let's get into the in class for today.